Welcome to the Bhakti Talk Podcast, where we discuss the spiritual path through the wisdom ways and practices of our beloved Guru, Swami Premodaya. We are your hosts, Swami Sky and Ananda Dev. The Bhakti Talk Podcast is presented by Jewel Tree Center for Spiritual Growth and Guidance. Visit our website at jeweltreecenter.org. Be sure to like and subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on all social media platforms at Bhakti Talk Podcast. Today's episode 14, the title of today's episode is Why is Controlling Our Mind So Important?
This could possibly be the most essential discussion we've had so far on this podcast. I'm very excited today. I know you're very passionate about this topic. We were talking a little bit earlier in the week. We were talking a little bit earlier today, just how essential, how important this topic is, controlling your mind, and how confusing it is. It's also very misunderstood, very confusing, the ways that it's spoken about. And, you know, if you ask AI how to control your mind, which I've never done, I'm sure it's quite confusing.
Probably.
We should Google that. Maybe we Google that and do it and read it on the podcast. But instead, I think we'll speak directly from our own experience. And you really messaged me this week saying, I am so passionate about this topic. I'd really like to discuss this next on the podcast. And I think, just to give a little bit, it's probably good to give a little bit of a background on ourselves. If you're going to talk about mind control and why it's so passionate and important to us, why we even do this podcast. I think we've mentioned it a couple of times, but it's fun to mention again. It's a wonderful way to be together, to talk to my beloved Guru Bhai. We're on the same spiritual journey, although everybody's spiritual journey is unique in the sense that it's your spiritual path. But we have the same Guru. Our Guru is Bodhisattva Sri Swami Premodaya, Guruji, Swamiji. We refer to him in lovingly ways, or Premodaya, Gurudev. Yeah, all ways to say. To reference the same Guru, our Guru, and we've been on this path together now for many years. I can't remember when we first met, but it was over a decade ago, and we just fell in love with the Guru. And just like you, we've talked about our unique stories of how we met and were brought to the feet of our master, and then in that, we have met and enjoyed and loved and just grown. And spiritual discussion, we found, is not only a great joy, but it also grows you. And so we both have our direct experience and knowing from our decades-long practice. Quite simply, we've both been spiritual seekers our entire lives. You can speak for you, but and then we have found ourselves here. So our whole lives has been dedicated to the spiritual path. And then I've been with Swami Premodaya since October 2nd, 2004. And you've been with Guruji do you remember the date of the workshop that you actually met Guruji?
When I met Guruji was October 2006.
I don't think I knew that they were both in October. So we've been with Guruji for 20 years and practicing on the spiritual path with different methods and ways, wisdom ways. Bhakti is the path of devotion. Guru Bhakti is devotion to the Guru, and that's been our path forward and has transformed profoundly. But what we were talking about is that we said it earlier today, that we sometimes you take a wisdom insight and you just you keep looking into it. And I'm still looking into it, but I have yet to be able to find anything related to the spiritual path that doesn't involve, that's so many negatives that I've lost. All aspects of the spiritual path involve getting beyond your mind.
Yeah.
Some people call it mind control. The difficulty in talking about this is most of us are stuck or still in the mind. So
Yeah.
to talk about something that is beyond the mind is not a mental process. It's an
Mhm.
actuality. It's real. There, in other words, there's your mind, and then there's beyond the
Mhm.
mind, but you can't use the mind to go beyond the mind. You have
Yeah.
to go beyond the mind. So I think a good way to start is let's talk about what is mind. What do we mean by mind? So
Yeah.
we're gonna have a podcast episode about why is controlling our mind so important. Well, I think we have to start with, what is it that you even mean?
Yeah. 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 And the most simple way to speak about mind or what mind is, yeah, mind is thoughts, mind is thinking ability. But I was also just before the episode thinking like, hey, yeah, it's actually thoughts, and then the thinking ability is juggling with the thoughts, and from juggling come concepts. We have actual tree in one of our programs, Beyond Self Training. Guruji, the first week is all about, it's a training program, Beyond Self Training, 3 times
Which, by the
13
way,
weeks.
we're gonna is enrolling now, and will
Oh
start
wow.
March of 2026. So
Oh,
the next
it
section of Beyond Self Training program is enrolling now, looking to begin in March
oh
2026. Just because
it's
you're bringing it up.
it's a fantastic and incredible program, a step by step
Course in
going through.
consciousness. That's what
Yeah, it's a course in consciousness. Yeah, and so the first week starts with identifying your bicaps, and it's a dual tree word: bicaps, beliefs, identifications, concepts, assumptions, and what does the P stand for? Per something.
projections.
Projections. Yeah, projections. Um, so the juggling leads to bicaps, the whole system of thoughts, and then we start to believe in those thoughts, and then we think we are those thoughts, and then we live in our mind. And Guruji has talked about it a lot, that especially in our time as Westerners, the mind has been elevated to, this is it, we are the mind. Everything comes from the mind, and all solutions come from the mind. While by looking at it, and also Guruji has talked about this a lot, mind is a problem creating machine. It's useful. There's nothing wrong with the mind, but the mind will never get us out of the mind. And that is, as spiritual seekers, you mentioned it already, Swami Sky, every tradition, a big part of every spiritual tradition is about controlling your mind, getting out of your mind. Because as Guruji also has mentioned so many times, and it is, again, our guru is the practical guru, the effective guru. Look at mind as a hammer. You don't use a hammer for everything. And that is what we in this time as Westerners tend to do. It's like you use the mind for everything, but
Mhm.
it's not very useful for
No,
everything.
if you use a hammer to serve a slice of cake, you're gonna get pudding.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to let's try to get it even simpler, because this is kind of describes the activity of the mind.
Mhm,
So one way to describe mind is an activity, and we just
mhm,
explained some ways that happen. But I even want to get simpler. So simpler to me would be, mind is a habit. I
mhm.
would just look at it as a conditioned habit, or mind is a set. So if we say the activity of the mind is thinking, But we go back a little bit and we say, well, mind is a tool, or mind is an activity. It's a tool to use. Like, thinking is meant to be applied to certain situations, but you're not meant to spend this entire life, every second of every moment of every nanosecond of thinking, think, and always thinking. It's not a mistake that the main culture now everywhere, everything is a phone that swipe with a very 30 seconds is a long time for the mind. You can have so many more thoughts than 30 seconds. That it's just, but that's not natural. That's just what we've now been conditioned into, and that's what the society and the culture has signed on for. But I would also explain, like, what is mind. It's just programmed habit. It's it's habitual. It's a habitual activity. Instead of thinking, instead of actively taking your mind and focusing, thinking through, which needs to, how much of any day do we do that? It's a fraction. So a fraction of your time would be spent using the mind, like you said, as a tool. And if you're gonna, sometimes you need a feather duster. Sometimes you need a hammer. Sometimes you need, the cake knife, to go back to that analogy. But how we use it now is, this is why people are exhausted. This is why there's so much, what people call anxiety, is because all we're doing is living from mind, and it's been programmed into such a state that people are having a harder time than ever before. In human history, it was not always this way. People did not live solely from mentalizing, solely from thinking. This is not how life has always been. So I like to very simplify what is mind. What are we referring to when we say mind? Because, the Buddhists will talk about monkey mind, and there's all different ways to talk about mind. But its simple form, and how I look at it, is just habit. It's habitual. It's you could call it the unconscious, but it is literally an engine. It's a habitual motor that is programmed. It's as if the Instagram feed is running without your involvement at all, and it's what grabs your attention without, you're not choosing it. It's just running.
Yeah, and it is also, you speak about the habit of it, and it is also borrowed. The Instagram feed is actually a very good analogy, because it's not coming from you. Like, no. 99% of our thoughts, Guruji has said many times, it's rare for people to have an original thought. Very, very rare. Borrowed thoughts that are then we create puzzles with these thoughts, and indeed, anxiety comes from it. A lot of beliefs we then try to live to. We try to put ourselves in the frame of the conditioning, in the frame of the believe, the concept.
Unfortunately, this is part of the biggest problem of it. Is we then, because it's part of what I hear in what you're saying, is that we then identify with it. Yeah. We then think it's our. We really do. We really think that this is ours. Not only is this ours, but this is me. Yeah. And that's just because it's in your voice, it's inside you, or what we perceive to be inside ourselves. And it really seems like it's us. I actually had this experience at a museum, and it was a profound experience. I love museums. I love art. And we were there. I was there with some fellow disciples, and we were following a group, so the group was ahead of us. And you could just feel, as like an energy. Someone would go up to an art piece, and then they would talk about it or chat about it. And, you think about all the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have walked these steps, stood in front of here, and then chatted about it. And that's what mind is. It's like, I could feel that when I was standing, I was basically, it was like a cloud, and I was like a thought cloud, and I was stepping into the chatter. And how many people before this famous artwork have stood there and kind of had this experience and made these comments? And the real profound aspect of art is art has the ability to transform you. It's an alive experience. And so when you're standing before it, the art will give a universal transformative, the Rothkos, there's times when you stand before, and if you really stand before it without all the chatter, you get a transformational experience where the art is breathing you. Well, other art has the same, it gives you a response, a really almost psychedelic response. So you have the art before you, which is giving you an alive experience, and then you have us, groups of us automatically standing before it, going, "Yum, yum, 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 yum," and you can just feel like you'll stand before. You can basically pick up on the thoughts that were there moments before you, and it's like, because it's very much like that. But that's what's going on inside of us. These thought clouds that are just conditioned, that are just weather of the environment you're in. This city has this, thought pattern. It's the weather, it's the thought weather, but that's now global. So everywhere you go, there's just this chatter, mind. It just as Alana's helping us out here, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Alana's our producer, helping on our Bhakti Talk podcast. she typed that the mind is always commenting. Yeah, it's always commenting, and it's not personal. It's not yours, and you can literally walk into it and then absorb it and take it on as yours, and that's the habit that's going on inside of us.
Yeah, hearing you speak, the mind is so limited. It's a very limited keyhole you're looking through. And speaking about art, that brings me also to Guruji talking about, and it is so true, life is a feeling affair.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're not stuck in commenting, as Alana typed, when you're not commenting about what you are seeing and just let it be, you don't need the mind to appreciate anything. You don't need the mind to just be. But like you said, it is a habit, and it's maybe even more than a habit. It's an addiction. Mind is an addiction.
Definitely. Yeah. That's an excellent way to describe the mind. So it's a habit, but probably before that, it's a simple way to describe mind is limitation. So mind is limitation, because what is using a hammer? That's one tool. That's a kind of limitation. It's one tool. Yeah. It's a limit, and it's constantly collecting and categorizing. That's part of the commenting, is constantly collecting and categorizing, everything. So it's limitation, and then ultimately it's absolutely an addiction. It is 100%. The habitual aspect of it is absolutely an addiction, and all of this is happening perceived of inside us and in our voice. And we really every spiritual path, it's absolutely essential for us to get that isn't you. It's just thinking. It's just the mind. You cannot see a spiritual path that you say, I'd rather say it positively. Every spiritual path I can review, every tradition that's out there, involves seeing what's true, what's real, who you really are, what you really are, and being able to live from that. And that absolutely means seeing that this mind that runs isn't you. It's a programming, it's a limitation, it's a habit, it's an addiction. Absolutely the case. And if you want real freedom, if you want to live naturally as yourself, you must get free of these habits and addictions. That's the case with everything, though. Anything you're addicted to, and anything if it's a habit, then how are you free? It's like you choosing in this moment, or are you actually living as your real self and making a choice, or are you just habitually, unconsciously going the way we were conditioned and programmed to go? So this is the essential part. This is probably a great time. Guruji has an excerpt on our Jewel Tree Center for Spiritual Growth and Guidance YouTube channel, titled "See the Mind for What It Is." It's a short 3-minute excerpt, and we love hearing from Guruji. We love seeing Guruji. So I'm just going to play the 3-minute excerpt right now.
Yes.
The basic misstep is somewhere along the line, and it wasn't recent. As a species, humanity fell into venerating mind, elevating it to a position it doesn't deserve, putting it at the top of the heap, making it the king, thinking that mind is the highest and the most elevated, the most productive, gives us all the best. Mind doesn't give you the best. It's just a problem-solving faculty. And when it's not being used for that, like I just said, it's a source of creating false and needless problems and imagining burdens where there aren't any. And giving a misperception of locked doors where there aren't even any locks. So mind is not this elevated capacity that in this, what we refer to laughably as the scientific age that we're in. Mind is worshipped as the highest form of human potential. It's just mind. It's not any more elevated than your liver, your gallbladder, your pinky finger. It's just another element. But its capacity is vast, so it's understandable how it could be falsely worshipped, how it could be seen as more than it is, because the vastness of it suggests that. But your genuine intelligence, which is far beyond mind, should be able to comprehend that just because it's essentially endless doesn't mean that it has a special place beyond all else. So we've replaced worshiping the divine with worshiping the mind. That's like instead of spending most of your time in the living room, you spend most of your time in the bathroom. It's not the best choice. It's not the most fun room in the house. It's mostly where shit happens.
Yeah, recently Guruji has also spoken about thoughts or thinking or thoughts as feces, and that it's actually playing with feces, and
and that is not something you're going to get the world to sign on to. We are heavily, completely addicted, and we're also at this point telling each other that this is what life really is. It's all about being in your mind. It's all about living for the mind. But it's such a, like as Guruji says, it's a tiny aspect of, it's like, what about all of outside? What about the entire universe? It's like, I mean, it's missing out on tremendous riches, and it's so confusing because of how much of it has absolutely nothing to do with you whatsoever. It's just a program on a computer. Great, use it to store 8,000 photos. But at this point, to use it to actually enjoy, it's not the origin of joy. It's not I mean,
Yeah.
you also wrote on here and quoting Guruji's guru Osho, who is also
Mm.
our guru.
Mhm.
We absolutely adore and love Osho, and I mean Osho's whole teaching basically was summarized in life is not a problem to be solved; it's a mystery to be lived.
Yeah.
That is a beyond the mind statement. That is
Ab-
not that doesn't, the mind can't make that, because what is the mind also? What's the main activity of the mind? Another
Solving.
main activity, trying to make things make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what about life makes sense?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
really hold on, the universe is infinite.
Yeah.
You're stand as Guru. One of Guruji's teachings is you're standing at the intersection of eternity and infinity. Eternity and infinity at the intersection is what's called YOU. So you're literally the intersection of eternity and infinity, and you're trying to make sense of this life.
Mm.
Okay, you can explain a couple of things, kind of,
Yeah.
but to make sense, I mean, the mind is you're never going to make sense of the cosmic. You can
Yeah.
get to, as you can testify to, you can get to cosmic consciousness, and it won't be about making sense.
No, 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 no. It's not about mind at all. And Guruji has railed against what's the name for it? Like the catchphrase of the philosopher Descartes, like I doubt, I think, therefore I am, which is so insane. But the whole Western culture, Western science has signed off on it. It's like, yes, I doubt, I think, therefore I am. Well, it's completely the opposite.
Yeah,
And
it's completely upside down. As Guruji
upside down.
frequently quotes the Superman comics, we live in bizarro world.
Yeah.
In bizarro world, everything is upside down,
Yeah.
and you don't think therefore you are. It's I am. Period.
Yeah. It's so yeah.
I think therefore
So
I'm
wild.
confused. Should be
Yes.
should be the.
Absolutely.
I think therefore I have the feeling of being lost.
Yeah.
And I think all I do is think, therefore I'm unsatisfied would be a better quote.
Yeah.
Therefore I am yearning for something real. I think, therefore I'm yearning for something real.
Yeah.
Because if you're living the real, you're not bothering with thinking.
Yeah. I also I am I'm in a tiny village in Spain right now, and it was very interesting. First, when I came here, that's also mind. I wanted to get things done. Let's get things done, and then
That's the other epidemic of the current global culture, because we've managed to make this global.
Yeah.
Not everywhere. There's still some safe spaces you can mark on your map. But the true epidemic, is this idea of a to-do list, and the idea of achievement, and that life is all about getting things done.
And
it ends in death.
Yeah, and that's also
it's not about getting things done. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're saying something valuable.
So all the futurizing, it's also thoughts and thinking and okay, thinking ahead, and then coming here time and time again, and now I get it and I adopted it and I really love it. What's been said here the most, and most people here are, it's very rural. Most people are actually like farming, and it's poquito a poco, slowly. We'll see. Yeah, bit by bit, which is a lot more natural and a lot less mental, because the mental is always about its tension. That's another thing of mind. Mind is creating a lot of tension. And
again, we're not saying anything about, well, let me say it differently. this is probably confusing for a lot of people, because the addiction and the feeling is all about, I should be using my mind everything is about mind. Everything's about mind. Mind. And one of the things that comes up is immediately fear, anxiety is like, well, if I'm not in my mind, well, what will I be? Who will I be? How will I get stuff done? The addiction to the to-do list, which we create. And all of life is about getting more done. Life is not about getting more things done.
No.
Life is about living it. Living
Yes.
it. That's literally it. Fully living. And you can't live fully. You can't be in full aliveness, which is truly a gift. You can't be in full aliveness if you're always just in the mind. Everything is done from the mind, and it's just about getting things done. Does that sound like life? Do plants and animals and insects? Do you think that it's all about getting things done? I really got to grow this extra acorn.
And it's also important, because I can't imagine someone listening to this thinking like, "Ooh, mind is bad." But no, there's nothing wrong with mind. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not what we are learned to believe it is. It's not, it's great, it's fantastic, nothing wrong with it, but we don't have to live in it, and we don't have to use it for everything. And what we can do is controlling the mind. And then, ooh, here we have the word again, control.
Yes.
What do we mean?
Well, we want to assure people that 100% everything's going to be fine if the mind isn't controlling you. 100% fine if you don't use your mind for everything and you're more free of the habits of the mind. So it can feel scary, it can feel intense. It's like, but if I don't have coffee this morning, how am I going to get through my day? You'll get through your day. Probably you had a lot of years where you never drank coffee. So let's talk about controlling the mind. And as we do, let's start from the understanding that there's already a kind of control happening. And the truth of the matter is the mind's controlling you. So the fact of the matter is, what is a habit? A habit is the lack of control. What is an addiction? It's the lack of control. It's a lack of it. It's you can't be living in addiction and have control of your own life. Because it's fair to say that addiction is controlling your life. I mean, that's a reasonable thing. We understand and we have compassion towards that. So just as we would have compassion towards somebody who's battling addiction, we have that same compassion towards ourselves, and we soberly look at the fact that your mind is actually controlling you. It's you follow it's so habitual you don't even notice it. And this is the whole spiritual path. It really is. That's why it's so important.
Yeah.
The whole spiritual path is you start in unawareness. You start in unconscious. You don't even know what's actually operating your life. And then by some sort of grace or good fortune, or unfortunately sometimes some tremendous suffering, you start to see how your life is living, how you're living your life, which is it's as if it's almost like you have no choice. You're stuck in habits, you're stuck, and the mind is controlling you. So if we start from that, it doesn't sound like such a bad word or such an overwhelm that you need to actually gain the awareness and the insight through practice, diligent practice of seeing how your mind actually runs your life. And then through discipline, practice, assistance, through fellow spiritual travelers, which we call in our community is a spiritual community we call Sangha. The Sangha, you need, and then I still I really feel for people who don't have a guru, or who the guru path isn't for them, because so much of it just feels like you're on your own. You still need massive help, but to have
Yeah.
such the real light of the guru shine the way, and be such a brilliant mirror to how your mind operates, is
Yeah.
beyond measure, something you're endlessly grateful for. And I'm not even, I have no idea. And in my view of things, you can't get there without a guru, because even, to me, the guru comes in the form of however, whatever form the guru
Yeah.
comes in. But I'm also, on the Guru Bhakti path. So of course I would see it as all coming from guru, but you'd
Yeah.
be hard to get, you'd have to argue really hard for me to see it some other way.
And what's bhakti? Bhakti is not mind at all.
No, it isn't. Bhakti is
Yeah.
you might as well say beyond the mind is bhakti. Bhakti
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
bhakti is not coming from the mind.
And you brought up a great point, how the guru is mirroring your mind, your thoughts. He's pointing out your thoughts, your mind. And the first step in controlling your mind is actually watching what is going on. These thoughts, are these thoughts me? Is what's going on? Just looking at what is actually going on with your thoughts, and that is a first step. That is
So another way to say the same thing, which you already said it, but I'll just say it a different way. The first step is always awareness. It's
Yeah.
always growing your awareness. So it's exactly what you said. And another way to say the same exact thing is growing your awareness. It's really understanding, like we started talking about, well, what do you mean by mind? Well, we defined it a little bit, but it would mean, well, what habits do I have? What habits does my mind have? And actually identifying, where does that if you're saying the mind isn't me, it would be actually sitting down through contemplation, through meditation, through practice, and actually seeing, where does it come from? And so first, in how, that's kind of the how of it. That's kind of the how of it is, you actually need to know, well, if this means mind, well, what does that mean specifically for me? Specifically, what does it mean that I have a mind habit? Well, let's understand with it's always, the first step is always growing your awareness. And it doesn't, it does mean your awareness of you. So if I'm not the mind, what am I? This is the whole stop, the whole practice of the lineage of Ramana Maharshi, of stop. Well, stop the mind. Well, or the also Ramana Maharshi's whole teaching is inquiry, self-inquiry. Who am I? Who am I? It's this is what it means. This is that practice. So that's why I say you can take any practice and look at it as, it definitely includes controlling the mind, going beyond the mind, getting out of mind. Well, we have the practical guru, and it's always about effective. So how does your mind operate? What are your thoughts of the day? Where do they come from? It's actually seeing for yourself. It is scientific in process, because it's very real. It's not, if you just take it like, oh, I'm not the mind, that's not enough. You need to actually see it.
Yeah. And it's the whole, I'm laughing because I'm looking back and I'm seeing how it took a while, but it takes however long it takes. I was really very identified with my thoughts. And what do you mean? These are my thoughts. These are my thoughts. They're mine.
That's what we all do. But I would argue, and I love to argue in these things, because it's my way of loving people and loving you. I would argue it didn't take that long.
No, that's also
if you look at the Buddhist view or the Hindu view of multiple lifetime, you have no idea how long it took. 20 years is nothing in a lifetime. I mean, that's very, if it only took you 20 years to get to the point where you're experiencing and living moment to moment, day to day cosmic consciousness, that's not that long.
Yeah, first rungs of cosmic consciousness.
Hey,
As Guruji
great.
pointed out, Guruji pointed it out, and he said, like, it's important. First rungs. Yeah.
First rungs of cosmic consciousness, as Guruji pointed out, but
Yeah.
you're living in the first rungs
Yeah.
of cosmic consciousness,
Mm.
and 20 years is not, or if you include your whole lifetime, but the truth of the matter is you have no idea how long it took.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah,
So be
millions of
grateful it only took 20 years.
It's true. It's true. There's a great excerpt. Alana Ji, our beloved Guru sister, pointed out, and I really want to read it. It's from a YouTube excerpt from Guruji. The mind always says no, which is on YouTube. So Guruji says, if you want to understand resistance, the first thing that almost never is seen is that it's coming from your mind and nowhere else. It's coming from the mind's biases, fears, and deep attempts to control you to the maximum amount you allow it. Spiritual life is about being able to choose without the mind dictating. That's the point you were making earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean by control the mind. What do we mean by control the mind? Exactly what you just read. And another simple way that Swami Premodaya has put it is you choose instead of the mind choosing.
Yeah.
Instead of in the mind, again, set of patterns, set of conditioning, set of habits, set of addictions. So ultimately controlling the mind means you're free to choose. You are in charge. You're the one that's in the master position. I control my mind, not my mind controls me. So absolutely, that, I mean, you can hear in that explanation, that simple way of putting it, which we've heard from Guruji, is absolutely essential to a spiritual path. But I'd also say it's essential to contentment and fulfillment in any human life. If you're buffeted around by what was conditioned into you or a habitual thought patterning, you always choose this. And, you know, another way that Swami Premodaya has put it is you learn to choose what's best for you instead of what you want. Because often what we want is simply a mind pattern, a mind habit, a conditioning. It's a product of where you were born and who you were born to. And that's not the ultimate freedom. Ultimate freedom is your choosing, you're in charge, you're deciding, not an impulse, not a reaction. This is what we mean by controlling the mind. Controlling the mind simply means you live your life. You're in charge. And that sounds simple, but that takes tremendous effort because you're going against the conditioned forces of the entire humanity. There is not a local, city that the whole place, even as relaxed as you're in Spain, the whole place isn't getting together and really, supporting being beyond the mind. You might have some wonderful places like Jewel Tree Center in mid-city Los Angeles that really that really are a support for it.
Yeah.
But it's not the way of the world is mind stuff.
Yeah, because when we talk about mind, we talk about group mind. That's also a way of dislocating our identification. It's whenever we say our mind, we actually mean group mind.
Yeah,
because it's all coming from somewhere else. All our thoughts, ideas, belief, conditionings, it's all group mind.
I'm telling you, it literally, that museum is, I wish I could transmit that experience to other people, because you literally walk into, like, if enough people go to a spot and it's not, you know what else, it's also might be a little easier. It's like, if you go to a city and I keep bringing up sports teams, I guess because I'm still on the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce experience. But if you go to a city and that city, the whole city, that's it, their sports team, and they were red and white, you're going to be thinking red and white. You're going to be thinking, go Chiefs. It's just what happens. It has a momentum. It has a power and a pull to it. It really is incredible how group mind operates wherever it is. And now we do that globally. And one of the things, as was commented on by Swami Premodaya in that video we just watched, is now the whole world elevates the mind as if it's the greatest be all end all. It's what really, really matters. Our whole, in this day and age, we really do elevate mind. We elevate as it is. It's the most important thing. And it's simply one aspect of this life. That's all.
Yeah. So that brings us to the title. Why is controlling our mind so important? I think we touched on it with everything we talked about already. But maybe it's good to recap it. One thing Guruji also has spoken about a lot is that basically all thoughts are negative, and all thoughts are judgments. That's also something to sit with. It's like, wow, all thoughts are judgments, and yeah, they are. Every single thought is a value judgment. Is it I like it, I don't like it, yes, no, good, bad, and that is also.
But even the yes is negative, because it's usually yes to this, no to that. It's how we started when we defined mind. It's a limiter. So usually when the mind is even like saying yes, I like this, but there's usually it's I like this, because I don't like that, because I don't want that. So that's part of why mind is so negative. It's just all thoughts are negative. All thoughts are judgments. One of the teachings of Swami Premodaya is judgments by definition are false. So how do you get to what's real? How do you know yourself? How do you know the truth? How do you know who am I? How do you get to the answer to that? Through mind, through thinking. It's there. That's since Guruji started speaking publicly in 2004. He's always used the tagline beyond self training program. Now we have an advanced beyond self training program, because there is so much, there's the all and the everything beyond just that little tiny aspect that is confused as ourselves that we call mind. So why is controlling our mind so important? Because it's what gives you everything. It's what the beyond, it is the doorway to the beyond. It is beyond the mind. It's all the greatest riches. I mean, just think about the greatest moments of joy, of the highest moments of your life, whatever your life is, the whatever it is, the greatest laughter you have ever had, the greatest joy, the greatest lovemaking, whatever it is. Was there a lot of thinking going on? Did you have a lot of mind in that moment? So you can be thinking about everything, which is, a clunky, suffering, challenging way of life. Or you can be beyond the mind, where even when suffering in your worst moments beyond the mind are still terrible. They're still unpleasant. They're still awful. But it doesn't have the same quality of suffering that living only from the mind does. Why is controlling our mind so important? Because it really is the open door to everything else. Because it's freedom itself. Because if you want truth, God, reality, the universe, what is, contentment, whatever, inner peace, all of that comes from the base point of some modicum of control over your mind. And ultimately, my experience, I could go the rest of my life and all my entire spiritual practice, which is now more than 20 years with Swami Premodaya, comes down to one moment when it was on a retreat. It was because we have a biannual retreat, and at this biannual retreat, which is now many years ago, I heard, felt, and experienced the Guru beyond words, beyond mind. And it was as if Guruji was reaching in and taking my attention. It's like taking his hands on the side of my face and turning my head towards, focused attention. Up until that point, it was discipline, or doing the practice, in which we all enter it thinking it's about the practice. It's a to-do list of practice, right? I got to do the practice. But at this retreat, it was beyond practice. It was I heard Guruji for real beyond the words, and it was another plane, and it was my attention was pulled back again and again. Every time my mind would go, which is seconds, every time my attention would be pulled back, refocused, pulled back kind of like recentered. And I mentioned it to Guruji, and he said it was so beautiful, so wonderful to see you actually hear me. And so we had this wonderful retreat, and it was titled Sacred Life, and all those profound experiences. And at the end of it, I was like, Swami Premodaya, I feel like this whole retreat was about discipline. And he just said it was so beautiful to see you actually hear me, because it was the discipline of bringing, instead of the mind every millisecond grabbing your attention, is every second you bring your attention back, refocused. And that was a beyond the mind experience. That was the grace of the Guru, the light of the Guru, literally beyond the words, was taking my attention. It brought me out of mind, and I saw that you can actually discipline. If you actually practice, you can pull your attention, because that's another teaching of Swami Premodaya, is all you really have in this life is the ability to focus your attention. And I in any moment, what do you really have? You have the ability, but the mind, if you're another way to describe the mind, is constantly grabbing your attention again, millions of times a day. I don't even know how many thoughts we can possibly have in a single day, but it's probably billions, because there's also what we're unaware of. But I really experienced the light, the hand, the force of the Guru pull my attention out of my mind habit, thought patterning, and refocus it. And that and then I said this to Swami Premodaya. I said, Guruji, I feel like I've only ever heard you, once. And honestly, I didn't say it honestly. It's just like, and that's enough. That was enough. That everything else was that one moment that was graced to me by my Guru, of out of the mind and focusing my attention. That's it.
And was it something the Guru said that one moment? No.
So nothing in that retreat was about discipline. It wasn't even about the mind. But the way that the Guru works is, talk about not being able to explain. This was what was happening inside me. Inside me, it was literally my attention. It was like hands went inside me and pulled my attention, moved my attention. And it changed everything. And I've been listening to Guruji for a long time, and I've listened to the recordings that are available through our spiritual wisdom library on PremodayatV.com. That was a mouthful. And I've been at every event I could possibly make for the last 22 years, and I've been listening and practicing. But this was beyond all that's essential. But this was the power of the Guru. We did not discuss in the words at this retreat discipline, but that's what was being shared. I
Transmitted.
mean, this is transmitted. Yes, thank you. That's the right word. That's what was being transmitted, was discipline, how to discipline the mind, how to control the mind. And it was just again and again, again and again, again and again, refocusing the mind
Wow.
out of this habit, out of this
Mhm.
chatter, out of the mind patterns, and back to
Yeah.
back to this, I want to say centered, or back to this moment, or back to, I mean, any teaching there is, you know, power of now is why controlling your mind is so important. How do you ever experience right now?
Yeah.
How do you live the power
Yeah.
of now without controlling the mind? This is all the reasons why it's absolutely essential.
Yeah. 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 It's so great to have this podcast to talk to you, because as you were speaking, I realized, like, oh, wait a minute. I see what you're talking about, because what what happened for me, what became super clear is um, right before the first rungs of cosmic consciousness. And it has to do with mind, but I never saw it had to do with mind. I only saw it as, it's got everything to do with I thoughts. But what are I thoughts? Mind. And having this discussion today, I see, oh, yes, mind and I are so interwoven. I see clearly that all these thoughts are always connected to I. So all this mind stuff is all just I. It's a constant eyeing. And what switched was like, wait a minute, it doesn't exist. This is this whole I, this whole I business. And what I realize now, talking to you, yeah, that's actually mind. It's not that the mind doesn't exist, but the mind, I am not the mind. I am not my thoughts. It's
Right.
so clear.
They're just thoughts.
They're just
That's the hardest part. And then, you know, because then there's a reaction and a feeling to the thought, and that's just a thought that's felt. They're just thoughts, and you are so much more than that. You are so much bigger than that. And that's part of the beyond that Guruji is referring to when he says beyond. And so it just couldn't be more important on why is controlling our mind so important. This is so important that I think we should continue this discussion on our next episode, because we have more to talk about. And I think we should just do this. We'll do a part 2 or a part 3, or however many parts are needed. But this is just way too important.
And definitely our next episode, definitely we can delve into how.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk in, because that would be the natural next question would be, well, controlling the mind, well, what do you mean? And then definitely, well, why would it be important? And then ultimately you get to how. So we should have another a continued discussion on controlling the mind, and we'll get into how, practical aspects of how. And we've already touched on it a little bit in this story. You know, I just, the guru is the doorway into that is the doorway out. It's the light of the guru, the grace of the guru. That's what all these great teachings, that's what all these roads, all roads lead to the same spot, and that's you yourself. And they have been paved and lit by a guru, whoever that guru is. And it's just absolutely mind-blowing. That's certainly, but we will also cover how in a practical way for those who don't have a guru. We want to cover, we really want to talk about. It really is beautiful to have this podcast. And I got to tell you, my favorite moment of today, I love meeting with you. I love being with you. I love talking with you. I love sharing on the path. And part of the sweetness that was captured is when you referred to Alana. And it's like, why do we have this podcast? Is because when you say our guru sister, our beloved Alana, it's like you can just feel the love and support on the spiritual path. And that's why we have these conversations. We love to get together and just to feel the support, the community, the love, and then to share and discuss and get into the teachings that have been profound for us, to share in our guru, to share in our discipleship, to share in bhakti, and I caught it. So if anybody hears this back, they can hear that moment of when you are mentioning Alana, who we very much appreciate being here with us.
Yeah.
But it's like we just get to love each other. That's why that's what Bhakti Talk is. It's literally loving each other.
Yeah, and that is out of the mind.
True.
Yeah.
It's if you're one way for sure, just to give a little teaser, although we have no idea what we're going to say next time, is one way out of the mind is absolutely through the heart. If you're living more through the heart, then you're definitely living less in the mind. Yeah. And the heart can use the mind, for when the tool that it needs. But one way is through the heart, and that's this podcast. Bhakti Talk is, talking about love. It's the devotion towards the divine. If you're lucky enough to have a guru, devotion towards the guru, devotion towards your path, your community, and we just love getting together and relating in that. Alana, do you want to pop on and say hello? And you have anything you want to add or subtract?
This has been such a treat to be able to listen to you both talk about one of my favorite topics, and just the guru and our Sangha. And I'm so looking forward to hearing about how we're going to control the mind and how we're going to, that discussion that's coming up.
Wouldn't you say it's true that I mean, the spiritual path, as far as my experience, but what's your experience with controlling the mind is an essential aspect of the spiritual path? What say you?
It is. In reflecting on seeing the massive transformation in our Sangha, even in the last few years, what's really become clear is the possibility of not participating with my mind. And in that's where the freedom is. All the freedom that the guru speaks about is all, at least is all about getting out of the mind to see what life is like about outside of that.
Well, that's certainly an interesting way to put it, and very true. That's kind of another way to describe the mind, and I like your take on it, which is it's a constant trying to get you to participate with it. It's like, hey.
And
and then if you that's a good way to put it. It's one way out of the mind is certainly by not participating, and it is sure trying to get. It's like an endless invitation. It's like endless pop-ups, and they're all trying to get you to click. And so you just have to not participate. I mean, that's a good way to put it. I like the not participating with it, because it gives you that sense that we all experienced of how much it's just like, hey, me right now, here, click here, click here. Hey, did you think this? Do you like this? And the algorithm is changing to what you like and prefer, and adapting to like, oh, well, let me try this. What about a sale?
And since you talked about freedom, the mind loves to think and talk about freedom and about everything, but doesn't know anything about the juice, the actuality, the meat of any matter. And it's fine. Mind is fine and overrated.
Yeah, it's so limiting. But until the guru helped me see that all I was participating in it was my thoughts, and he gave me the space to be like, oh, there's something outside of thoughts. And then really understanding feeling, really understanding being in emotion, and how the guru said, life is a feeling affair. Like, what does that mean? How does that work? I realized there's so much more juice. There's so much more aliveness. And the mind is such a dry, brittle desert of a place that's really one-dimensional. It's very limited. But like
it's the bathroom.
It's the bathroom.
But I like it. Yeah, he said that with the word. Yeah, it's a bathroom with bad acoustics, and out of the mind is the entire planet. So you can live in the bathroom, or you can have the entire Earth, and then beyond Earth. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's why we're saying it's important, because we don't want you to live in the bathroom. We want you to have some of the freedom that we've been, experienced, that live, know. I mean, it's joy, all of it, all the reasons. That's why controlling our mind is so important. Well, thank you. I think that this is a wonderful. I'd love that I get to spend this time with you, and it feels like an absolute privilege to come together and have these conversations. And I would just say, Ananda, Dev, you want to take us out?
Absolutely. The Bhakti Talk Podcast is presented by Jewel Tree Center for Spiritual Growth and Guidance. Find us on Jewel Tree Center's website, where you can check out our calendar of upcoming spiritual growth events, transformational programs, and get access to a free spiritual wisdom library of over 650 full-length recordings from Swami Premodaya's wisdom work. It's absolutely fantastic. Visit jeweltreecenter.org. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. We give gratitude to you and honor your spiritual path. Thank you to our beloved Sangha for your support, and a most ecstatic thank you to our beloved Guru, Swami Premodaya. Your wisdom ways and practices continue to be the transformational light on the path. Jai Jai Swami Premodaya.